You got it. My name is Yvonne Kate. I go to Warner Pacific University, majoring in business. I'm from West Africa, Togo, and I'm really excited to be here right now presenting my product, Boundless Motion.
How did you get into Invent Oregon?
Just a few weeks before the very last interview of InventOR, actually, I went to my one of my favorite teachers and asked him that I had this idea that I wanted to finally take action upon. Having this idea for a while, and he was like, "You in luck because there's one more interview left for InventOR, and I would love for you to be able to present that idea." And I'm like, "That's wonderful. That's that." It was such a rush to me, and I was super nervous. I didn't know if I should do it. I was questioning it because everything just coming so fast with just with that one conversation. And he was like, "Yeah, you should definitely go for it." And so I had that meeting with Juan, and I really enjoyed. I was taking it as an educational learning, and I'm really excited to be here right now.
I love that you had someone pushing you in a direction like this. And I think we're all really psyched that you're here too. It's great to see someone representing Warner Pacific again and really looking forward to what you have to bring. Did you have a faculty advisor at Warner Pacific who was helping you out with your idea?
I did, but not in the way because since I came in the program so last minute, he advised me how I can join and what the program was about. And so
Mhm.
with that, did needed a lot of help just kind of understanding the process. And Warner Pacific staffs are wonderful. So I kind of reached out to all my business majors, see how can I get started and how can I put my feet in the door. And so with that, I had gotten guidance from there, and they have connected me with people in the community who might be able to help me with my project. And so with that, I have been doing a lot of reaching out to in my community and just kind of getting to learn and know more people within my community as well.
That's cool. Is there any one individual that sticks out to you as being particularly helpful or particularly impactful?
Yes, Dr. Spears. He's the head of the business administration at Warner Pacific. He was the one that actually present this opportunity to me, and so anytime I have a question or every time I get stuck, I always make sure to reach out and see what his advice would be, and he always knows what to say.
What's one piece of advice that Dr. Spears gave you that you particularly appreciate?
Wonderful. This I love this question because I think that when every time we are entering a competition, we always get nervous on what the outcome would be. And so what he have told me was that don't worry about that. Just kind of take it as a learning experience. What the outcome will be is the outcome. The way he said it just made me feel like, okay, there's no right or wrong answer, or I should just take this chance because I got it now. And so here I am now, and I'm really excited to be here.
That's great. I love hearing that. And really glad again that you had someone to help you along the way. Let's talk a little bit about Boundless Motion now. What is Boundless Motion?
Boundless Motion, I'm really excited about. This project I'm launching is about turning plastic waste in my community into fashionable wearing shoes. Where I got this idea from is that I'm from West Africa, Togo, about 8 years ago since I stepped foot in the United States. And ever since I was here, there was always the vast difference of resources between an underdeveloped country like mine and the United States. And so one thing I have grown to love was shoes. And I think about it every time back home, we used to play soccer barefooted, and I have bruises in my in my feet. That's crazy. And I always wanted to connect the bridge of resources between an underdeveloped country such as mine and a developed country like the United States, from education to healthcare. But I didn't know where to start. And so my love for shoes just kind of pinpointed me where to start. I want to be part of the fight against climate change, global pollution, and so that's where the idea spoke from. Taking plastic within my community, turning it into something fashionable, and just revolutionize the way we view athletic wear and just the future of shoes in general.
There was a lot in there. It sounds
Ooh,
like there's the issue of getting shoes to back home to Togo. There's the
mm,
plastic waste issue, which is an environmental issue. I
right.
want to definitely touch on all of that stuff, but where did you get the inspiration for this idea?
My very first job in the United States was working with Parks and Recreation. And what we do is we go around removing plastic from beaches, remove. And so I've always had connection with Portland parks and always volunteer. And that inspiration really came from there. And shoes is something that I really grown to love. And I just had this idea of how can I continue to do the work that we do with Portland Park, but at the same time be able to do with something that I have passion in, and also at the same time be able to give back to where I'm from and my community. And so I had this idea of boundless motion, and basically boundless is meaning limitless, and like no society tend to put us in a box, and then the motion representing the shoes. And so I put these two ideas together, and then I actually presented to my very first boss since we saw in contact, and she was super excited for me. And with that, I had more confidence with taking part of this competition, and so that's where the ideas came from, and it has changed many ways.
How do you plan to turn plastic waste into a shoe? What steps go into that process?
You got it. First and foremost, it was about turning plastic into filaments. And what that is a 3D printing material. It's plastic melted and hardened, which then enter a 3D printer. First thing and foremost is utilizing the 3D printer technology. And what I've done so far is I've actually reached out to people in my community. They have helped me draw the shoes via CAD, use that drawing. I have a company that I'm talking to at the moment that is offering to print the shoes for me if I had that drawing. And so turning the plastic into shoes, the first and foremost thing is breaking down the plastic into small particle material, which then we will melt it and then turn it into these filaments. And then these filaments will then enter the 3D printer and will print out the shoes. And that's the basic of it.
Is there a specific kind of plastic that you need for that? Like, I'm assuming you're converting plastic waste, but the kinds of plastics that you get when you're collecting whatever is being thrown away is going to differ. Do you have to be really specific about what kind of inputs you're using?
Right. And that would be plastic bottle, PLA type of plastic format. And PLA is not always comfortable on the feet, which is why I want to utilize the plastic bottle PLA for the sole of the shoes. And the sole of the shoes, I want it to be unique in a way where it's adaptable. And best way I could explain it is airless tire. Airless tire is a thing right now. When it's used, it's adaptable to any type of ground it's in. What the sole of the shoe, it will be using light and particle material. That's just a fancy way of saying that there'll be airflow going through and out of the sole of the shoes. But then the body of the shoes, what I'm planning to do is utilize 3D knitting so that it will fit perfectly to your feet. And yeah, that's what my head is at the moment.
That sounds like a nice shoe. Let's talk a little bit about some of the big issues that you're trying to tackle. And we'll start with the environmental one. Why is it important? Why is the plastic waste issue important right now?
Right now, experts says that in 30 years there'll be more plastic in the ocean than fishes. And think about that's kind of scary to me. I remember back as a kid, one of our major source of getting food, since it was such a poor country, for my family at least, is that we would take a fish net, go out in the canoe, and just sit there for hours and hours and grab fishes, and that would last us for 2 weeks. And so I don't want to think about doing such thing and then just plastic waste coming out from the ocean. And that's not only bad just for the circle of life itself, but sea life, the marine life. And global pollution, it has been a thing for a while. I know that people are taking the fight against this action and being part of this fight and stopping those plastic before it reaches the ocean. In my community, it's something that I want to take part of now, and then in the future continue to have a bigger solution against plastic.
That is a really vivid image. I'm glad you described that because it's definitely not something that I would want either. The environmental issues are really important to me too. So to know that that's a possibility is a little bit disturbing. You talk a lot about giving back to your native home. How are you going to connect what you're doing with Boundless Motion to your home in Africa?
Perfect. I love this question because I was just talking about this question and breaking down the steps and processes actually. What the plan is that as we starting to catch fire, starting to see more success in the future. The shoes will be fully recyclable. Every shoe that is bought, I want one to be donated to Togo because I have aunties and uncles right now who want my old shoes, want old shoes or just like any type of shoe they want us to send back home because I know that it will make a big difference to them. From every shoe that is sold, one is being donated back home will be a dream come true for me. And then eventually, hopefully, I get the chance to travel and be able to do more business overseas. Also, emphasizing international business at Warner Pacific, and so learning about the world trade and just kind of making sure that home is getting that resources. And if I can do it back home, I know that I can do it elsewhere too. And so I'm really motivated to do something like that.
I love it. That's great to hear. A couple more questions for you. Going through the Invent Oregon program is going to require you maybe to develop this idea in ways that you haven't before. What are some of the biggest challenges or obstacles you foresee going through the process of Invent Oregon?
One of the biggest challenges is since I entered the program so late on, creating a prototype was really difficult. That's because I am not an expert at digital designing. And so I had to learn how to, first of all, navigate my way around Fusion 360. Thankful that Invent Oregon has provided. And also, after I was able to just kind of learn the basic of Fusion 360, I've actually reached out to others to tackle the soul for me because I know that's the most complicated part. And the hardest part is just getting that CAD drawing and having something ready to print by June 30th. And right now, I'm actually taking a break from designing the shoes and doing more marketing, reaching out to people in my community to see what they think and would they wear this and is this something that they will like, and so getting feedback from others.
What do you hope to get out of your experience looking back at Invent Oregon once it's finished?
Oh, you got it. Right now, I feel like I've gotten a lot more connection. I've definitely understand the difference between studying business and doing business because there's certain things that you will never be able to understand until you have put your feet into the door. And that's where my head aches sometimes. But it's also passion toward this. And every little thing that goes right, I make sure to celebrate that. But the step backward can definitely be hard at times. But I'm very excited for the future of this.
Nice. One last question for you. What is the most important thing that you want the judges to understand about Boundless Motion?
Judges, I want the first most important thing I want the judges to understand is that there's many factors that this project is about. First and foremost is just knowing where I want the future of this product to go, where the motivation came from. The motivation came from my background, the way I was disciplined, where I came from to be here right now, because all my learning as a kid has built me up to be who I am today. And from today, I think that another part of the thing that I want the judges to know is I don't know. It's kind of hard. This is a hard question. This is a hard question because there's so much factor that's going into it. But one thing is just strictly loyal to home, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I can hear that in what you say about your connection with Togo and how much you want to help the people and help the community you came from, and even today, where you're reaching out to your community and how you interact with your community. You said a really nice thing, like home is part of who I am, or something like that. Um,
Yeah.
maybe can you build on that a little bit?
Oh yeah, definitely. I can definitely build on that. It's because I've spent so much time, and it was by luck that I'm even here right now. It was a lottery ticket, and out of all the hard survivors that wanted this chance, I was the one that was granted this chance. And I can never take that for granted. Every time I go to school or anything that I do, I know that I must work twice as hard, which is okay. I still have my fun though. I still have my fun, but back of my mind, there's always images lurking in my head saying, there's so much survivors that would love to be in your place right now. And when they have, if they have given the opportunity, they will make sure to create something out of it. And so that is also a source of my motivation. And also being just the community that I have also built here in Portland, Oregon. It's also enough for me to that, especially being a part of the fight against plastic pollution. That's also a type of motivation to me because my community here are also supporting me, and I'm just thankful and I'm grateful to be, I don't know, to have both sense of both world and behind my back and to tackle this problem together.
Hell yeah, that was awesome. I love that answer.